Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. My name's Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and co founder of GSD Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio. It is with great pleasure that we have another in our continuing series of incredible people from around the world. And today, our focus is once again South Africa. So I'd like to introduce Kabir Mohamed, life hacker, explorer, fire starter, entrepreneur, advisor, unicorn hunter, and futurist. So with that, hi
Hi.
Kabir, how are you today?
Hi, Gary. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. So, you've got an incredible background, and I was going down through it. So, all these entrepreneurial activities you've had in South Africa I see for agencies, I see from startups, from DNA Capital, blockchain advisory, hair studios. I mean, it's incredible. You got the widest background that I've ever seen, from studying surgery at Mandunza. It's incredible. So, what drives you? What makes Kabir tick? What's important for you?
ADHD, Gary.
There you go.
ADHD drives me.
They
I
have
mean,
drugs for that.
so they do. I choose not to take them because I'm enjoying my time. So I like chopping and changing and moving and just being flexible and agile. So some would call it diverse, and others would call it erratic. Right? Two sides of the same coin. So it depends on your perspective, but I don't think I don't think I regret any of the chopping and changing. It's given me a lot of experience, made me a bit streetwise, and yeah, it's been fun. I guess
So,
that's why I would call myself a life hacker, looking for the path of least resistance to where I want to go.
and you work, what's going on in South Africa with the startup scene? So, you've been there, you've seen it. What's happened over the last 5 years? How has it changed? What's going on? I want to give the audience a full impression of idea of what's happened in South Africa.
Okay, so Gary, I prefer to take an Africa-centric focus, right? So it's not just South Africa that I'm going to talk about, even though I'm from South Africa. Looking at the African startup ecosystem in general, and that's what I'd like to talk about. I mean, Africa, as everyone knows, is one of the richest countries richest continents in terms of resources in the world, right? And it's one of the poorest continents on the world. So, I mean, there's a lot of need, a lot of challenge, a lot of struggle, and all of those things lead a lot of suffering, which leads to innovation, desire to innovate, and those sorts of things. And what I found is that Africa has sort of taken a very, very, very back seat in terms of its technology, and not many people know what is going on in Africa, and that's why you're asking this question. And I mean, the topic of the show gives us an opportunity to actually explore Africa beyond resources and nature. And look, in the past 5 years, I think globally things have changed. Technology has accelerated. Change itself has accelerated. So there definitely is a lot going on. So to give you a bit of a glimpse, I would just like to talk of a few tech startups that have actually arisen, like you say, over the past 5 years. So if you look at it broadly, people would think Africa being totally backward. I mean, this is Africa, it's third world, right? But what we don't realize is there's a lot of even space tech, aeronautics, fintech that actually originates in Africa. So an example of that is the Airbus and Honda aircraft, for example. Not many people know that the metals and the composites for these aircrafts are actually manufactured and exported out of South Africa. There's Denel Dynamics, which produces CubeSats, right, in South Africa. These are not startups, but I'm just giving an idea of the technological innovations that come out of it. Denel Dynamics is a South African space and robotics agency, but it actually exports its products to the rest of the world, including Russia and America. So that just gives an idea that the South African Sorry, I think we lost you. Can you see me?
No, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So it's quite developed, although we as Africans and South Africans, we don't have access to global sort of reach, global networks, global tech opportunities, those sorts of things. And that's why Africa never actually sees center stage when it comes to tech, I mean, if one bases themselves out of one of the valleys in Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, all these sort of tech hubs internationally, you may not see the same type of innovation, but something which may even be lesser than what is being innovated in Africa would get the global stage. And that is something that is really close to my heart, because I believe that Africans for a long time have not been given access to global opportunity.
Well, I mean, you got over
So,
1 billion
I mean,
people on the continent of Africa, right? This is over 1 billion people that are there. So you got an incredible population and a younger population on top of that. Can you hear me, Kabir? It looks like we've lost Kabir. So let's see if he comes back on. Kabir? Well, it looks like the internet connection is a little bit slow. Yeah, so we lost him. So hopefully he'll dial back in a second. Sometimes the internet connections can be a little bit slower than anticipated. And that's one of the challenges when you're going global, is the kind of infrastructure that needs to be in place to be able to help these companies to be able to realize their full potential. And it's exciting, and at the same time, it's a great opportunity, because that needs to change. It's companies like SpaceX and Starlink being able to democratize opportunity and deploy satellites all over the planet through their deployments in space is an incredible opportunity, because part of it is a reach. Now, remember, in the digital transformation, a year ago, a little over a year ago, a year and a half ago, it was said that 92% of the companies by McKinsey that were going to go through a digital transformation in the next 10 years. Well, that has fundamentally changed. The pandemic has really pushed it ahead a lot faster and further than we could have ever imagined. It really changed things dynamically. So with that, what we need to do as global citizens is we need to reach out. There are companies all over the world, companies in Africa, Nigeria, Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa, companies in Indonesia, in Australia. We need to reach out. The Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole. And it's critically important that we look at this as a whole, because as we mine these incredible opportunities, and our particular interest is artificial intelligence and quantum computing, what we need to do is bring those forward. We need to give them a stage to be able to come out. We need to help them with their sales, marketing, business development, help them shape their ideas and the narrative, the storytelling, to be able to bring those companies to the forefront. So it's an exciting time. And at the same time, look at artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is, in fact, the new electricity. It's like the beginning of the 20th century. And imagine, back in that time when Nikola Tesla and Westinghouse were at Niagara Falls, Canada. Look at the changes that took place over the next 30 years. Lights in the farmhouse, manufacturing process because of electricity, hospitals, the way we lived our lives. And then, going from horse-drawn carriages to cars, and how much our life had changed. And it's funny, because back in those times, I remember readings that said, why would somebody ever want to get a car? Because horses are reliable, right? So we got to be careful about locking ourselves into the past too hard, anchoring ourselves down. We got to really go out and we got to look to the future. I remember one time I was at the dinner with a very successful businessman, Andrew Straczynski, who's a right-hand man of Rupert Murdoch. And he said some valuable things. He said to me, he said, we asked about what are the most interesting characteristics of entrepreneurs around the world. He said, I've studied 3,000 of them. And what came out was fascinating. He said that amnesia. And I asked him, what do you mean? And he said, they don't talk about the past. They talk about the present and they talk about the future. So each one of us need to go down through and understand that it's about where we go. Visualize where you want to go, have the passion and optimism to go there. So this burgeoning opportunity, the democratization of opportunity on a worldwide basis is truly incredible. And each one of us can take advantage of it. Doesn't matter where you are or who you're with. It only matters if you become part of the opportunity. So that's door number one. Door number two is, the Warren Buffett once said, look for opportunities where other people aren't. So where we see these opportunities in places like South Africa, places like Nigeria, Rwanda, Kenya, there's incredible talent. I mean, in Nigeria, they've got an AI Saturday. So on Saturdays, people get together to share ideas, to share company values and structures, to talk about things. And by the way, that's the way these ecosystems start to be developed. And it's very, very, very encouraging. So, and then if you look at it, what are the constituents? What are the parts to making a global company powerful? Let's look at things like intergenerational, culturally diverse, decentralized teams. And let me tell you what that means. Having the people on the team that have the gray hair, right? So they have the contacts, the network, and can share experience. Cultural diversity. Why? Because it gives you different ideas to go down through that you can use to help build your company better. And the last thing is decentralized. Why? Because you want to get the right resources to build your company's technology or service at the right price at the right time. So places like Ukraine, Belarus, South Africa, all over the world, to be able to develop those, India, of course, our friends in India, to develop those products, to be able to bring those to the market. Why? Because the price is a lot less and the skill sets are incredibly, incredibly high. And it's really important to maintain that competitive advantage. So why do we talk about using Silicon Valley as a port to the rest of the world? Because in Silicon Valley, if you look at it, the major investors from around the world have offices there. I always say, if you're going to go fishing in a lake, you want to go where the fish are stocked. I mean, keep it simple. When I grew up in Pennsylvania on the side of a mountain in Nesbitt, Pennsylvania, with a little village of 500 people, we kept things simple. So you want to go to the lake. So Silicon Valley gives you those opportunities to be able to meet the investors, whether from T-Mobile, Docomo, from Magna, from European investors, from family offices around the world. It gives you a chance to meet them. And it also gives you a chance to have a valuation that's a lot higher than you would normally get. And so you also have the network of people that have similar ideas, similar values, and similar structures. So you can get down and shape ideas. So you don't feel like you're alone. You feel like there's really a group to be able to reinforce it. I remember when I worked over in Russia, and we started Startup Academy at Skolkovo, School of Management. We started an entrepreneurs club. We had a couple of people in the beginning when we first started it. But within a year and a half, we had over 250 people that would come. We packed the halls in the Entrepreneurs Club. Why? Because people wanted to share those ideas. And it's really important when you're building a startup. The other thing is, so with the South African startups, with startups all over the world, it's important to do customer development. Customer development where you go out and test your idea. So what does that mean? So if you develop the products, the technology founders that are out there today, developing in a product or service, what happens? You can build something that nobody wants. You need to test it in the marketplace. Go out there, Present your idea to people that could be potential customers and get their feedback. Is it easy? No. But what you do is, so let me tell you what we did with Eva. So David Yang and myself, what we did is we went actually out. We walked down Palo Alto, down the street, University Drive. We would meet people on the street, would pull them aside, and I'd actually get my iPhone. I had a PowerPoint presentation that was on my laptop, and it allowed me to be able to present that product in the mock-up slides without ever having to go down through and develop it, and help me to shape the ideas to something that people want. That's important, because if you don't do your customer development, how in the world do you know if somebody's going to really want to purchase your product or service? You need to go out and test it. You need the one, as a founder of the company, are the one that needs to go out and make sure that that's real and it's the right place at the right time and the right kind of product. And it's important to say, as Bob Dorff and Steve Blank say, that people are willing to take money out of their pockets to be able to pay for your product and service. So remember that. Once the money comes out of the pocket, a lot of people can give you good ideas as you're building your product and you're building your service. But it's once they put money, it's once they take money out of their pocket where it becomes really interesting. So think about that. And in terms of a startup, it's whether you're in South Africa, whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Indonesia, the US, India, wherever. Remember, it's not, as Muhammad Ali said, it's not the person that gets knocked down. It's the person that gets back up. The person that gets back up on their feet to be able to move forward. That's the person that's going to be resilient. That's the person that's going to be able to win in terms of a startup. And raising money. So what are the stages? So you got the pre-seed stage, the family and friends stage. There's different stages of raising money to be able to get that company out. So you need to, as the founder of the company, go out, talk to as many people. The first rounds of funding generally comes from family and friends and from yourself. I've used in the past, I'd use credit cards. I've used different ways of raising money, friends. Then you go to your seed round, and a seed round is a more serious round. Many times it's with angel investors or some early stage venture capitalists that really help you raise those funds or services. So with that, I think we have him back. So Kabir, hold on. I think you're back. Are you here?
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, it's fine. So sorry, we lost you there for a minute. So we were talking about, I guess we got about 10 minutes left. So tell us a little bit more about South Africa. What's happening in the ecosystem? What countries are hot right now in terms of development? If you could rank order from 1 to 5, what countries in South Africa? I know Nigeria's got like 200 million people, and I see a lot of companies there from there myself. But if you ranked order from 1 to 5, where do you see those innovations coming from?
Okay, so once again, South Africa itself is a country. So I think you're referring to Southern Africa.
I'm
right?
saying in terms of Africa, the African continent.
Yeah.
What countries do you see 1 to 5 that are the top countries that come down? So who's first and who's fifth?
And look, without being biased, South Africa is number one. Okay, there's a lot of innovation that has come out of South Africa and that has had the global stage. For example, PayPal is one of those that came out of South Africa. The number 2, I would say Nigeria, but there's a big focus on fintech in Nigeria. Kenya also has a very strong innovation hub, so I would put Kenya at number 3. Probably Egypt at number 4, and perhaps Ghana as well, 4 or 5. They would share the same place. So 1 to 5, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, Egypt.
And then Kabir, do those countries work together at all? Do you see any integration in terms of working together as startup ecosystems or not?
So I think there's definitely a desire between entrepreneurs in those countries to work together. A lot of Nigerian entrepreneurs look at South Africa as a hub and reach out to South Africa for various reasons. I mean, South Africa is probably the richest country in Africa, right? So there is collaboration, but not enough. I think there should be maybe some sort of hub that could bring entrepreneurs together from Africa to some central stage. There has been some development in the startup ecosystem in South Africa, like Silicon Cape. Um, there are various startup grind events that take place in South Africa. A lot more VCs are popping up within the South African jurisdiction, which are supporting the South African startup ecosystem. Yeah, so there is some collaboration, but definitely not enough, and nowhere near as enough as there is on other continents, right? I mean, Latin America has somewhat more of a sort of a collaborative ecosystem. We don't have to speak about the first world continents. I mean, access is sort of seamless in those continents. So yes, I think there's a bigger need for collaboration on the African continent.
What about capital? How easy it for so if you've got a company from Nigeria or Kenya, how easy is it to find capital? Is it intelligent? The VCs, and I mean, is it's smart money or what kind of money? Who are the investors that are there? And I know you're an investor also, but what do the other investors look like?
So, I think on the African continent, a lot of entrepreneurs would definitely rely on friends and family first,
Mm-hmm.
because there's just so much competition.
Well, I think we've lost Kabir again. Kabir, are you there? Well, we at least we got something out of him. So he was saying that there's a competition, and from what I've heard, there's smarter money coming in, which is really interesting. And let me just so there's smarter money coming in. I see it every day, more and more. People from the Western world, from Silicon Valley, from Europe, are starting to invest. And as Kabir said wisely, there's a mineral rich, resource rich area, one of the richest places on the planet Earth, if not the richest place, with over 1 billion people. So it's really untapped. And we're excited about those opportunities. And again, there's some infrastructural challenge taking place, but it's changing very, very, very quickly. And we're excited about it. Companies like Phillips and Triodos Investments, companies like that, DNA Capital, Kabir's company, that are actually funding companies and going down through from the beginning and the early stage, small seed investments, even micro loans that are taking place, to the point they turn into companies like a PayPal out of South Africa. So it's exciting times, exciting events. So I want to thank everybody. It doesn't look like he's going to get back on today. We have some, it seems like he's got some technical challenges. And anyhow, we need to, so let's call it a day. I appreciate everybody attending. We do there. That's life. Sometimes there are challenges, but it's all about rolling with the punches. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thanks for taking time your busy schedule. Look forward to us next Tuesday, and thank you again.